Today's tip is to corral your ants. Now, I'm not talking about those insects that spoil a picnic. These ants are inside your head and spoil a good mood. They're cognitive distortion, otherwise known as automatic negative thoughts. Cognitive biases and distortions are sneaky ways in which your mind convinces you of something that isn't really true. Your brain fools you into thinking that your negative thoughts are accurate and illogical, but in reality they serve only to reinforce negative thinking and emotions. I talk a lot on this podcast about cognitive distortions and biases. They can cause stress and anxiety in our lives and keep us stuck, unable to reach our goals. However, once we identify them and are aware of them, we can use them to our advantage to eliminate unhealthy habits and improve our mental and emotional health. Identified and used correctly, they can help propel us forward. Before I go on though, I want to first emphasize that if you're finding it difficult to manage your mental or emotional health, it's so important to seek help. Follow the links in the show notes to access support. Automatic negative thoughts are the first thought that pops up when you have a strong reaction to something, like a reflex thought. The term ants was coined in the 1960s by Dr. Aaron Beck, who's considered the founder of cognitive therapy. He noticed that these thoughts fall into three main categories: negative ideas about ourselves, about the world, and about the future. Now, negative thoughts are actually perfectly normal. We're hardwired to keep a lookout for threats in our environment. The existence of negative thoughts is our brain attempting to keep us safe. The problem becomes when we get stuck in loops of negative thoughts and negative thinking becomes a habit. That's when they can cause stress and anxiety that I mentioned before. So ants, how do we know if we've got them and what do we do about them? Step number 1 is to identify them. There are many, many types of ants. Here are a few of the most common ones. Ant number 1, black and white thinking. Using the words always, never, and every is the hallmark of this ant. Thoughts like, I'm never going to lose weight, or he's always late. Ant number 2 is focusing on the negative. This ant involves dismissing the positive aspects of a situation, event, or person, and of course, focusing on the negative. Ant number 3 is fortune telling. This is also known as catastrophizing, imagining and believing that the worst possible thing will happen in the future. Ant number 4 is mind reading. With this ant, you think that you know what another person is thinking. You wrongly assume their thoughts are about you, of course, and that they're also not good. Ant number 5 is thinking with your feelings. This occurs when you have negative feelings without questioning them. You may be in a situation where you feel stupid, for example. It's easy for that feeling to morph into the thought that you are stupid. Of course, that's not true. And ant number 6, being ruled by shoulds, thinking or saying I should or shouldn't. It puts pressure on ourselves and sets up unrealistic expectations. So, do any of those strike a chord with you? What types of automatic negative thoughts pop up for you on the regular? Think about when some of these thoughts tend to occur in your life. Are there certain ants that are triggered by certain situations or people? Step number 2, once you discover your automatic thoughts, it's time to challenge them or put them on trial. Is there evidence to support this thought? Are you actually an insensitive person just because you forgot a friend's birthday? Then focus on evidence that doesn't support your thought. What are the ways you've shown that you are actually a kind and supportive friend? The next step is to find an alternative thought. Switch your ant out for a pet, a positive, empowering thought. When you notice yourself thinking, I'll never lose weight, stop for a moment. Then instead think, I will lose weight. I can do hard things. And finally, it can be helpful to personify your inner critic, the one who lets these ants out. Think of it as the devil on your shoulder, or call it your evil twin or grumpy bear. This can separate you from your unhelpful thoughts and keeps you from owning them. It makes it easier to let them go. Now, before I wrap this episode up, I want to again remind you that it's okay to ask for professional help. Forcing positive thoughts isn't authentic or helpful, especially if you live with anxiety, depression, or other mental health conditions. If you find yourself in a thought pattern that you can't shift out of, consult a mental health professional. Again, links are in the show notes. You don't have to believe everything you think. As I said earlier, automatic negative thoughts are common and perfectly normal. Thank your brain for trying to keep you safe. Then remind it that you are, in fact, safe. Take the time to notice when those ants pop into your mind and practice reframing and letting go. The more you practice these techniques, the easier it will become to corral those ants, and the closer you will be to reaching all the goals you set for yourself. Willpower not required. Thanks so much for listening. I'd love to hear from you, so send me your tips, questions, or feedback. You can find me on Facebook and Instagram at Fired Up Fitness Coaching, or email me at willpowernotrequired@firedupfitness.ca. Thanks so much. I look forward to connecting with you.